5 employees who quit in the most dramatic way possible. 5. Marina Shifrin, Taipei, Taiwan. Marina worked as a video editor at Next Media Animation, and she had what seemed like a foolproof exit strategy: quit without saying a word directly to her boss. The plan was simple: film herself dancing alone in the empty office at 4 a.m., set it to Kanye West's Gone, caption it with a message about being overworked and underappreciated, and upload it to YouTube. The twist? The video that was supposed to be her quiet, dignified goodbye became a global spectacle almost overnight, racking up millions of views within days. Her employer, a media company whose entire business was producing viral content, got out-viraled by their own employees' resignation. The irony practically wrote itself. Professional content creators got beaten at their own game by an intern with a camera and a grudge. Marina became an internet folk hero overnight, landing interview requests from major news outlets. Her video now sits at over 20 million views, a resignation letter that outperformed everything her old company ever made. 4. Steven Slater, JFK Airport, New York. Steven was a JetBlue flight attendant with 28 years of service, and after one final passenger dispute, he decided the professional thing to do was leave with maximum flair. The plan: grab the PA system, tell the entire plane exactly how he felt, grab 2 beers from the beverage cart, then deploy the emergency evacuation slide and slide right off the aircraft into freedom. Here's the twist: the man who spent nearly 3 decades enforcing airline safety protocols used one of those exact protocols, the emergency slide, purely for personal drama. He didn't just quit. He weaponized JetBlue's own equipment to make his exit as theatrical as possible. Ground crew watched in confusion as a flight attendant casually strolled across the tarmac, beers in hand. He was arrested and charged with reckless endangerment. The internet, however, immediately crowned him a working-class legend, and pulling a Slater briefly became actual American slang for a dramatic workplace exit. 3. Trevor, Chicago, Illinois. Trevor was a mid-level analyst at a downtown financial firm, and he'd been planning his resignation for months with the precision of a military operation. His plan: hire a skywriting plane to fly directly over his office building during lunch hour and spell out "I quit" in massive white letters against the sky, visible to his entire floor. The twist was brutal. Chicago's infamous wind patterns scattered the message before it fully formed, turning his crisp resignation into a smudged, unreadable cloud that looked more like a distress signal than a statement. Co-workers actually called building security, thinking something was wrong. The one detail Trevor hadn't accounted for in his elaborate stunt was basic meteorology. He still resigned that day, verbally, in person, like everyone else. Total cost of the skywriting plane: $3,500 for a message nobody could read. 2. Kayla, Austin, Texas. Kayla was a mid-level marketing coordinator, and her plan for quitting was, in her own words, airtight. She drafted a company-wide email listing every grievance she'd ever had: micromanaging bosses, unpaid overtime, a stolen lunch from the office fridge, and scheduled it to send to all 412 employees the moment she walked out the door for the last time. The twist: she misjudged the time zone settings on the company server, and the email fired off 3 hours early, while she was still sitting at her desk, mid-shift, unable to log back in fast enough to stop it. She had to sit through an entire afternoon of coworkers reading her rant in real time while pretending to work beside her. She was escorted out by security before her actual last hour even started. Her farewell email, however, lived on, forwarded externally within the hour. 1. Greg Smith, New York City, New York. Greg was a Goldman Sachs executive director, and his resignation plan was the most audacious of them all. Quit not to his boss, not to HR, but to the entire world in the pages of the New York Times. His op-ed, titled "Why I Am Leaving Goldman Sachs," accused the firm of putting profits over clients and calling them Muppets behind closed doors, publishing his exit as a public indictment of the company that made him rich. Here's the twist that made it deliciously ironic. Goldman Sachs stock dropped roughly $2.15 billion in market value the same day the piece ran, and the firm spent months publicly and privately trying to prove that a man who'd built a career praising their integrity had never actually meant it. Greg had spent 12 years mastering the art of institutional trust, then burned it down using the same credibility to torch the institution. He walked away with a book deal reportedly worth $1.5 million. Goldman never fully shook the Muppets nickname.